Out the answer to that question, Deficio. Picks and bans has begun for our penultimate game of the day. Irelia taken off the table from Overpow as far as SK is concerned, and Graves removed from Forgiven.
So very specific ban here from SK Gaming. Overpow played Irelia at IM Cologne, and him and Jankos together through a lot of early pressure, early ganks, got him going, and he completely snowballed the game as an Irelia can do. That's why SK banned the way. It's not the pick itself they're afraid of, it's more the combination of Jankos helping Overpow, giving him the lead, and him just taking over the game from there.
Well, we'll find out how the rest of the bans continue to play out. Zed, the follow-up from SK. ROCCAT taking their time on their second pick. Forgiven versus Woolite. Both new AD carries on their respective teams for this season.
Look at Raider's face here. He's pretty confused.
Well,
Renekton being banned.
Come on, Freddy made his name on Renekton. That is
no, you don't ban Renekton just because you know Freddy can play it. Again, Gnar is open. Do you rather have Freddy on Gnar than Renekton?
Well, we don't know. We haven't seen Freddy's Gnar.
I will guarantee you he plays.
Freddy, of course, one of the other really top-tier top laners throughout the summer split. His Nidalee in particular was phenomenal towards the end of the year. For the first time, we see a blue side Rek'Sai ban. And the final ban from ROCCAT will be Azir. So that's also actually targeting their own champion pool, because Overpow did, of course, run that himself during the off-season.
But again, we see some different bans from what we've been used to in the last few weeks, looking at other regions. Kassadin being locked in is a little bit surprising to me, because as we just saw in the last game, it allows now the enemy team to pick two laners who can deal really well with the Kassadin, and at the same time, you shouldn't expect the enemy team to take him over Janna. You shouldn't expect to take him over Gnar or Lissandra here, or Sivir, which is also open for ROCCAT in this situation. So giving over Janna for the Kassadin first pick, I don't agree from SK Gaming's side. I think they could have saved it for later.
Well, we're about to find out how the rest of the cookies crumble. As we've said, that flex pick. But this has been an interesting pick and ban already, with Renekton and Azir being taken off by ROCCAT. It's not something that we traditionally expect, and you were touching on the fact that Thresh, Janna, what support champion is in ready to get a play. This is a guy who ran support Galio last year. This is a guy that has played those oddball champions. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see him pulling out something shocking in this particular matchup in the first game of the 2015 season.
Normally the playstyle for Unrated is very disengaged focused. He doesn't really like to be the main engage. He used to be a big Leona player if you go a few years back, but he's basically been sitting on disengaged supports. Again, Morgana's been a big pick for him. Kale support, remember, he played it a lot. A lot of focus always on fairly passive play. Have your AD carry make the plays in the laning phase, and then you just protect him in the late game team fights.
Well, we'll see if they can actually make that happen. Again, really timed, slow-paced picks and bans. That's in a flame. Not really talking. Listening to Fox, who you can see is sharing his opinion. 10 seconds down, hovering through the picks. Lee Sin, one of the top-tier junglers, locked in. Last couple of seconds before they decide. It was, all right, let's see what they lock in now for SK.
Didn't actually go for it. Svensson has been playing quite a lot of Car 6. And meanwhile, Kalista being locked in. That probably wasn't how it was supposed to be. We see the coach react instantly, and also SK Gaming pointing out to might have a remake of this.
Let's no, hang on.
Wait and see.
Let's not make assumptions.
Did not look intended.
Let's not make assumptions. I think if a player's made a mistake, I don't know if those are grounds for instant regame. Regardless, Kalista locked in for Forgiven. If anybody was going to play a champion that is slightly off the wall, slightly aggressive, that could be one of them. And you know what? SK ran the clock down the whole time. So we'll see how this works out.
Yeah, so not knowing what SK actually were going to pick on their side, but ROCCAT, they're getting so many strong picks here. Lee Sin for Jankos, he's most played champion. We talk about Elise, but it is Lee Sin that is his most played champion. And of course, the Janna being locked in.
I take it back. We have heard we will be remaking Champion Select.
Normally when you pick a champion in LCS, you don't click random and you spam it for a few seconds and then you choose a champion.
Because he's right. I'm disappointed because he's right. So yes.
And we wanted to see Kalista.
Unfortunately, they couldn't lock in the correct champion, so we will run through those as quickly as possible. I want to see a Kalista in the hands of Forgiven as well. Somebody who is very aggressive. 5.1's got extra damage, but let's stop theorizing. What I do want to touch on is the fact that Nuke Duck, he was hovering the Fizz just before we dropped out. I normally don't like talking about hovers, but if anybody was going to play an assassin, it would be Nuke Duck. It's his bread and butter.
But the Bang is open, Ari is open, a bit safer choice than a Fizz if he wants to blind pick his mid laner, because Kassadin, of course, is a flex pick and go both top and mid for SK Gaming. So I'm not expecting the Fizz. I think LeBlanc would be a safer choice for him. And also a champion where together with Lee Sin, you have one of the best 2v2 fights in this early to mid game, and you can just completely take over the enemy mid lane and the entrance to the jungle at Raptor Camp, at their Merc Wolves, of course, with that combination.
Well, we'll have to find out. We are hearing that picks and bans will occur exactly the same order up until the point that Kalista was locked in. So we'll need to see what that changes to. We did see Graves was taken off the table, so Forgiven's not going to be playing his Graves. We did see him playing a fair amount of Ezreal, of Jinx, of all the sort of meta picks last year. But Jinx was the one that he sort of fell back to. He likes his champions that scale into the late game. Forgiven's never really been a guy in the LCS stage that's pulled out the likes of Vayne, though. So you know, he prefers those sort of longer range, potential spellcast type champions.
And again, also the play style from the Copenhagen Wolves was very focused on late game, so you needed that wave clear to come in. So Jinx with a static shift, or most cases for him, a Caitlyn obviously coming in. Strong laning phase, you can bully out the enemy AD carry, and you have that wave clear to kind of get to the late game point. You can fast push down towers. Was his go-to champion? It has been played more and more because Sivir has come back as a champion where Caitlyn has a very strong laning matchup against her. And we start here in 5.1. I think we're going to see a little bit more fast push, because you can get that early Baron as well if you get that lead and really start taking down these towers.
Well, we'll see if they actually can make that happen. Zed was taken off the table from SK Gaming this time around. So in terms of that split push or fast push or, you know, those kinds of strategies, they are minimized. So we're going to rush through these first few picks and find out exactly which champions SK will be playing. I do apologize about that delay, but we should be into game fairly shortly. Freddy is going to be locking in that Kassadin. And again, first pick Kassadin.
Yeah.
EU has always loved Kassadin, as have most of the world, but they haven't seemed to have given him up. The off-season has brought back a flavor of the month. Is that locked in from SK? It is. It's going to be a Lucian for Forgiven.
And people might wonder what happened to Corki, seeing as he's not being picked at all today. Was open here, Graves been banned away. Would have been a normal choice then for most AD carries around the world, but the change to his W, now it costs 100 mana, actually hit him quite hard in terms of his laning phase, because you really have to be careful now with how you use the mana. You can't really poke as much pre-level 6, so you are fairly weak in that situation. And then you need your level 6 point, get your Trinity Force, and you can have your big mid-game power spike before you really become powerful on Corki. And that's one of the reasons the EU AD carries don't really pick him anymore, at least not as high up there as the likes of Lucian or Sivir, which we have seen, which ROCCAT can pick. If they go Sivir and LeBlanc here, you have such a crazy pick comp, and you have so much engaged potential as well.
Well, we'll see what they decide to lock in. Just very quickly, Lucian was Forgiven's most played champion during the spring split. He played 11 games out of the 28, won 5, lost 6. So he's going back to his sort of bread and butter most played. We touched on the Jinx. I was thinking that maybe Forgiven would play it. Last second lock-in will be the Tristana, the little smug grin from the summer split Rookie of the Year. And that's some good late game scaling from ROCCAT.
Yeah, much needed as well. You have Lee Sin, you have LeBlanc here to secure the early to mid game for you, and now you have Tristana going into late game. Also looking at the side of SK Gaming, when there is a Kassadin this early pick, you know, okay, they are also aiming towards this late game and stuff, because you need that Kassadin to scale up. He's not going to be super powerful from the start of the game. So picking Tristana gives them a lot of late game power from ROCCAT here, and basically requires SK Gaming to rethink here. Do we now want to have more mid-game coming in to kind of follow up with the Lucian and try and stop ROCCAT from going to late game with Tristana?
Well, let's see what SK decide to lock in. They've got some decent engage. They've got power at different stages in the game, and now they've got a very beefy front line with Gnar, and that's most likely a Lulu support.
It is going to be a Lulu support, and actually now looking at this LeBlanc pick, we talked about it before, how it was more of a safe option. LeBlanc actually doesn't have a very good matchup into Kassadin. Kassadin does really well. He can easily out-farm her. He can even trade with his Q so easily with the LeBlanc. And that again shows Nukedog and his confidence, saying, you know what, I can take this matchup. I've seen it before. It went in favor of Kassadin. Nope, I don't care. I'm going to take LeBlanc and show everyone how you play this.
And we'll see if Nukedog can make an impact on those side lanes. If his one-on-one matchup in mid isn't going to go his way, he's going to have the option to roam and move around the map. So SK have rounded out their comp. I feel like they've got a little bit of everything. Engage, disengage, mobility, decent enough scaling. ROCCAT are running down the clock and deciding how they're going to round their team comp out. Theirs is a little more disjointed With Lissandra, however, you've still got elements and emphasis of pick as well with both of those AP majors.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pick potential for them, and then you have Tristana for late game, and every single carry from your R ranged if you want to start pushing down these towers with Woolite. But SK Gaming, it's a very skirmish-focused comp from them. You don't really have the greatest siege because you only have Lucian to really deal damage onto the towers. Your Kassadin obviously won't do a lot. You have a lot of catch potential with a Gnar, with a Jarvan, even Kassadin coming in. So it's going to be a lot of focus on picks and skirmishes from SK Gaming. Where ROCCAT, on the other hand, again, you have this super strong mid lane synergy or setup with a Lee Sin and a LeBlanc to kind of try and shut down Kassadin. That must be the goal from ROCCAT in the early game. Pressure on Kassadin, make sure he never gets going, and take the game from there. And you have Woolite as your backup going into late game on the Tristana.
We'll have to see if the fact that they don't have that traditional front line causes them any troubles. So it is something we like to highlight. If you don't have somebody that can stand up to a Gnar or a Jarvan in this case for those Gnar Cataclysm combos, it could end up being quite scary. So picks and bans have been locked in. Going into this game, it was dead even, 50-50, according to the LOLesports.com votes. And I don't really know how to call it. I don't really know if
50-50.
either of these teams have got any sort of advantages, different play styles. You guys at home vote now that you've seen the team comps. Who do you think is going to come out ahead? Tweet at us at LOLesports. Use the hashtag SKWin or use the hashtag ROCWin to see who banned Varus the most and who will come out victorious in this grudge match. SK went to Worlds after beating ROCCAT the last time they faced off. ROCCAT wants revenge and wants to kick off 2015 with a bang. It's SK on the blue side, it's ROCCAT on the red side.
Just looking at the start here, I'm a little bit surprised about no flask on Kassadin. It's typically what you see for this 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 before you have your ulti. But you see a lot of trading going on between these two mid laners. I want to see how Nuke Dog plays the matchup, because last few times we have seen it, it's gone heavily in favor of the Kassadin.
So we've got two very interesting lanes to watch between the top lane of Freddy versus Overpower, not only because of Overpower's role swap, but also to see how well Freddy is playing, or how good Freddy is performing in the 2015 season. And of course, that bottom lane, let's be frank, we're anticipating Forgiven and Woolite to set their sights in the mid to late game. So let's see how those lanes pan out.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Lulu support. I feel like she gets out-traded by the likes of a Janna support with her shield. And you don't really have any sustain, so in terms of like pure damage or sustainability in your lane, you don't really add a lot. It's more like for the team fight itself, for the mid game from N-rated on this Lulu here. Then again, Tristana has received a lot of nerfs to her early game, so she's kind of lost a bit of her power there. Seems like ROCCAT wants to have a standard lane and SK Gaming does not.
Well, we'll see how the lanes set up about 20 seconds before those minions are spawning, or monsters are spawning in the jungles. But the one thing to note, I do feel that Crepo will have an opinion to share on this support Lulu. You know, we were discussing it off air fairly recently, and
it wasn't very positive.
Shares the opinion, Deficio, that it's not the best pick at the moment. So, N-rated, we'll see if we can make it work. SK have sent their duo top, and we'll see how quickly Freddy makes it to the bottom lane.
So the way it can work as a 2v1 pick, as a lane swap pick, is Lulu has the ability to really fast push down waves, get to the tower, get a lot of damage on the towers as well. So we might see Forgiven and N-rated try and just fast push the top lane here, get an early tower, then swap back down to this bottom lane with a gold advantage, while Freddy on Gnar, one of the better 1v2 top laners because he can farm from range, he's fairly safe, even has the early level 2 from doing a jungle camp. Meaning, if you can defend that tower, you take the top tower and then you swap back and you actually won out on the lane swap.
Well, a lot of emphasis going to be on that first tower, and we'll see if SK can make that play happen. It looks like N-rated is already backing off. We'll see how quickly he can get to either help out or cancel it. Doesn't look to be the fastest of pushes here. Forgiven looking to last hit, so maybe not the strategy at the moment.
No, they're going to play it very standard here. You get level 2 on your support, you recall and you walk down to the bottom lane and you assist your top laner if he needs your help to farm. But for now, N-rated running towards the mid lane. He has picked up a few wards and you don't really need the wards on the bottom side. So I actually quite like if he goes in and places a pink ward around this mid lane here to try and set up a potential gank for Svenska.
Well, advantage to Freddy. He already did that jungle camp to get the early level 2. He's been in lane, soaking up some XP and trying to farm with that boomerang as best as he can. Overpower's only just made it to the top lane.
Yeah, but because in the top lane, SK Gaming was so late, so they didn't manage to get a freeze because they actually had to choose which lane to go to. I think they spotted ROCCAT moving to the bottom lane and then decided to go top. So no freeze, and seeing as Enrated decided to recall early on, they haven't denied anything from Overpower. The entire wave coming into him, he can just pick up all the farm now. Very safe, so not the best lane swap early. And I guess we can go back to the first thing I said. SK trying now to fast push instead, and Enrated not going down to the bottom lane.
So finally getting around to
the mind
tactic.
games.
Took a little longer than maybe they could have done if they had committed to that strategy earlier. Regardless, we did see Nukeduck taking a lot of damage in the mid lane. He's been pushed back by Fox. He's burned through his potions, and he's 12 CS down already. Changes to Cassidy a while ago have improved his laning phase, and Nukeduck's again in a little bit of a difficult situation.
It's just such a strong pick against LeBlanc because you cannot poke through his shield. You don't have enough mana to do it, and at the same time, which means you can just never stop him from farming. But Overpower and Jankos around this mid lane here. Svenskeren staying around as well.
Well, let's see the pot. Fox gets caught up. Svenskeren comes in with a good knocker. Fox still in trouble. Jankos is trying to get first blood. Will it secure? No! Fox survives with the potion. Now Svenskeren's in trouble. ROCCAT continuing to set sides. Jankos, can he do it? Decides against it. 2 near first bloods for Jankos, but nobody goes down.
No, but the early pressure on the Cassidy pick here, as we talked about, could be one of the reasons for the LeBlanc pick. You have to chain onto Cassidy here, pre-level 6, try and lock him down. Jankos and Overpower could then join in, but a nice counter gank from Svenskeren saves everyone, and Overpower just going back to this top.
So Overpower does use that teleport, got himself some biscuits, and will be defending against Forgiven and Enrated.
Okay, so yeah. SK Gaming decides to fast push the lane. Don't want to try and deny anything. This is what we talked about in the very, very start. You can't do with Lulu in a lane swap. That's why they keep pushing it down. Don't care about Overpower picking up farms. They just want the tower and then swap back down to this bottom lane. And that's also why Freddy's playing so aggressive, trying to push ROCCAT away from their tower here, making sure it stays alive.
We'll see if they can make that strategy work. I do want to once again comment on the fact that Nukeduck picked LeBlanc into Cassidy. That was a first pick Cassidy here for Fox, for SK Gaming's new mid laner. That's not something that you would say very often when Jesus was playing on the squad. He was seldom the sort of carry mid laner, often more utility based. Only really Ari being a sort of carry based champion. But we'll see how they handle themselves with this new player. SK Gaming still continuing to hold small advantage. They've sort of dictated the tempo. They've got some good damage onto ROCCAT's top
Once
tower.
again, around the mid lane.
Jankos, again, repeated ganks for Nukeduck. Not something we saw all too often last year. Overpower again. He's moving himself down to this mid lane. They really want to try punish Fox. They know he's got no flash available.
Overpower is basically just waiting for the minions to hit his tower up on the top side. That's why he keeps trying to go for this gank. But now he's going to lose out on so many CS. He should have just stuck to the top side, realize that your early gank on the mid lane didn't pay off, adapt to it, and at least pick up as much farm as you can on your Lissandra.
Yeah, definitely not the case. Not working out for them for the time being. ROCCAT showing where they want their investments to lie. None of them are paying dividends or returning a profit. So Fox continues to hold a CS advantage against Nukeduck in the mid lane. This Cassidy starting off decently well and without that crystalline flask that we were anticipating.
Yeah, didn't even have to use all his potions actually before the gank happened early on here. And Rated once again, he goes back, buys a few wards, places them around the mid lane to make sure they can see everything that's happening. And if ROCCAT once again want to try and gank this middle lane, and then he can just go back up to the top lane where Forgiven is already building up the wave for him to join in on.
Well, Vanda has continued to try poke Freddy out. Every time we catch a glimpse of this lane, Vanda is just way in front of the minion line, doing the best he can to deny Freddy, but level 6 has been gained, so Gnar will be available for transformation. He's only a few CS behind that of Overpower. Overpower getting close to getting his Glacial Tomb available. He's still a few minions away.
And Wulat actually decided now to skill up his E on Tristana. He didn't before because you don't want to skill it if you're sitting in a lane swap and you want to try and freeze the wave, because you obviously don't want the explosion on all these minions here. But he got it now after they realized how SK Gaming was playing the lane swap to actually start pushing it down. Probably get some damage on this tower once they come back to base, because you cannot risk staying in base. Once Forgiven kills that tower and he recalls, sorry, you cannot risk staying in lane. Once Forgiven kills the tower, goes back, gets an item, and if you're sitting on Dorn's Blade when he returns to lane, you're just gonna be forced out of it. So Wulat has to go back now. Smart choice, pick up a few items, then return to lane because he knows Forgiven is on its way.
Well, let's see how Woolite plays the lane matchup now that his opponent will be potentially coming down. They got that Zeal, got that pickaxe. You see that Fox has got himself Catalyst, the Protector. Nuke Duck, double Dorans. So investment's going to be a little longer till he gets his item spikes. And again, a difference in jungle items between Svenskeren and Jankos.
Yeah, but Woolite here, Seal is first item together with the pickaxe. Back when Static Shift was the normal second item on Tristana, I say back, it's been like a day or two ago, but you would go for the Abyss Blade to get the extra gold income, and then you would get like a pickaxe of BF Sword, and you would kind of try and farm as fast as possible towards the 2 item spike. He's going to do the same here. He just doesn't get the extra gold, but he actually gets more combat stats from his Seal. It's a lot more gold efficient in the stats it provides you, so it will make him slightly stronger than having the Abyss Blade, and obviously he's now looking towards Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge we would expect from his first 2 items, and you just want to get to them as fast as possible. Not really teamfight before you have them.
Well, we'll see how much that Zeal's going to help, considering he's going to be up against a BF Sword, a pickaxe,
not a whole lot,
and a long sword from Forgiven. Woolite's getting some decent damage onto the tower. Opts to trade some damage on Freddy instead, but here comes Forgiven. He's moving to the bottom lane, and we'll see what support he can give.
All Freddy needs to do is just buy time, make sure the tower stays alive, and you won out on the lane swap.
That's a mistake.
That was a mistake here. Jankos getting the blue buff. I think his red buff took it in the very end. Not exactly what Nuke Duck needed in this mid lane.
Definitely not, considering the pressure that he had. So tower is up. Freddy has done his job. The strategy that SK employed a few minutes ago has worked out, and now with the numbers advantage, we're maybe making a move. Vander, that's a great Howling Gale. Doesn't get knocked up, but he's slowed. Everybody dives. First blood secured by Svenskeren. Just way out of place and all too easy for SK.
Yeah, nice knockup, but not really paying attention to how many players SK has on this bottom side. They knew Forgiven and Enrated would show up, and Freddy was still sitting there. So just sloppy play by Vander, walking in, dying. Dragon for SK Gaming, top tower for SK Gaming as well. This is looking very, very good for them.
Yeah, very, very big misplay there from ROCCAT. We'll have to see if they can recover. They're 1,300 gold down. Lanes have gone in favor of SK. SK initiated the lane swap. They got the first tower. They saved their bottom tower. It's all been about SK. Nuke Duck, the only reason I think it's fair to say that he's even this close in CS is because there's been 2 roams and ganks from his teammates to help counterbalance the damage and the pressure that Fox was applying.
Yeah.
But he is keeping himself relevant. He's got that chalice, not really damage stats, but allows him to spam and farm and try to stay in lane even longer.
Look at Jankos here, going towards the top lane. A massive wave has been built up, and they want to try and force Freddy away before he can get any of the farm. Luckily for him, he plays the ward, smart play, knowing there's a chance of the enemy jungler being here, trying to do actually just kill or dive me before I can pick up any CS.
Well, Freddy continues to do well in this top lane matchup. You see once again, SK setting their sights on the bottom half of the map. They're looking for Woolite. Woolite does have that flash. He does have the heal. Forgiven's got in. Woolite, Rocket jumps in. He flashes out. He gets taken out. Here comes Overpower. What can he do? There's so many members of SK. The Claw of Doom takes him way out of dodge. And SK Gaming secure a single kill and all of the pressure on the turret.
Just smart plays all around. Great shot calling from SK Gaming. Freddy goes to the top lane and says, okay, there's a high chance Jankos is here. I'm going to place a ward, avoid dying. Okay, enemy jungle is top lane. Svenskeren instantly just walks to the bottom side. Kassadin follows. You dive Rocket's bottom lane, kill them, get a big lead for SK Gaming. I mean, this is just great shot calling and knowing exactly what Rocket is doing on the map and how to counter it.
We'll have to see if they can keep it up. Every single time Rocket have made a move, SK have been able to counter and to accelerate their lead. It's now 2,000 gold. Fox goes back to the mid lane, and he's even going to be farming up this massive wave as well.
And that is an important thing about this roster change from SK, because they didn't actually lose anything in terms of shot calling or like the knowledge about the game, because they kept all the important members, Freddy and Rated, who are doing pick and ban phase, who are doing a lot of the calls in the game. They kept both of those members here and just build around that instead of replacing some of them and saying, you know, we want maybe a more flashy support instead of Enrated. Kept him, relying on him, and it's been paying off.
Well, thus far, at least 12 minutes into the game, SK have come out swinging. They've definitely stamped some control. Forgiven has already got a 20 CS advantage over Woolite. He'll lose his tower in a moment, but he's got that BF sword, got those Berserker's Greaves, a lot of combat stats, and Woolite got that Avarice Blade, so it looks like he's still going for the Shiv, not the Phantom Dancer.
So he will actually go Shiv. Just a little bit weird he didn't go for Avarice Blade on the first back, just for the extra gold. Obviously, Zeal again is a better item, but still. Static Shift will give him some decent wave clear, and ROCCAT will be needing it this game. Because he's going to have to sit back and just try and power farm on the tower and avoid SK Gaming taking down as many towers as they can while they're going to be stronger. Because Lucian is going to hit a massive power spike once his Infinity Edge is completed, and Willard won't be able to duel him.
Well, start of the game, we showed you the LOLesports.com vote, 50-50. Twitter is still completely undecided, based off picks and bans, just marginally in favor of SK. But I think seeing how controlled really this early game has been, there's going to be a few more believers. Hexdrinker picked up 4, Freddy's not. Still that Catalyst in Fox's back pocket. I think he should be getting close to that Rod of Ages, if not immediately. And of course, Nukeduck going to be getting towards that Athene's on Holy Grail. One thing to highlight is just how good Freddy is on split push champions. This time round though, it does look like he's caught out. Overpower's been stunned. Now Freddy's going to do a double stun. He locks up Overpower and Jankos. He crunches over the wall, manages to throw the boulder at Jankos. Jankos looking, the kick, kicks him to safety. Freddy doing work here in the spring split. Svenskeren comes back in. There's the Claw of Doom. Svenskeren goes down in the background, but Freddy gets himself 2 for 1. And SK with a good play in the top lane.
Such a nice play, just knowing exactly how much damage he can take, buying time for Svenskeren, who was running from his own blue buff up there to help him. 2 kills again. ROCCAT did try to catch out Freddy. Didn't work.
Yeah, you can't catch Freddy. Just really, really good plays. Manages to not
we learned that during Worlds.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
really gank Freddy or ban him.
No, you can't. And again, I keep talking about his Nidalee play, mostly because of just how dominant his presence was on the map. When he was playing Nidalee in the summer split, everybody had to pay attention. Everybody had to figure out how to deal with it. And right now, SK, they group up and they've got pressure on the mid outer turrets.
It's a great play here. Looking at the members from ROCCAT, LeBlanc can really wave clear when you're standing at her tower because he has to jump into your face, and Woolard is going to be the main wave clear together with Overpower. They were gone from the mid lane, so a quick little rotation from SK to get some damage on this tower here. Dragon spawning in 50 seconds. Go back now, buy some wards. If you are close to finishing a core item, do it now. Come back, set up your ward control, and be ready to fight.
Second time round, Nukeduck manages to secure his blue buff. No accidental kill secures there by Jankos. The CS advantage continues to grow for Forgiven. He's got nearly 30 CS in the lead. Warlight has got that static shiv completed, and a little bit of trading back and forth between Fox and Nukeduck. With Nukeduck's Athenes, he's got a tad more ability to trade and put damage down, but we're not expecting kill pressure really unless someone gets outplayed severely.
No, but a bit the same here for SK Gaming in terms of wave clear. They have to rely on Forgiven being in this mid lane, so ROCCAT decided to try and do the same, push it down, but realized there were too many people around. And instead, focus on this dragon. Teleport is ready for both of the top laners. Mega now was just popped over by Freddy.
There's something I do want to highlight. You're discussing the support Lulu and how impactful it's going to be in the mid game. You can see there's Ionian Boots of Lucidity picked up for him rated. No mana regen, no anything else. He wants the CDR, wants the movement speed. Overpower looking to chase Freddy, knowing Mega Nar's not available. He's got the support of Jankos this time round, and there's no flash. Freddy unable to stun anybody. Easily gets picked off, and that may be the cost of a dragon. SK get number 2, no one from ROCCAT around to steal. Actually a good play by Freddy at the end of the day.
Well, it's just ROCCAT saying we can't really fight for the dragon anyway. We just want our Tristana to sit and farm, get to the late game. We want obviously Nukeduck to try and catch up a little bit. He's done a very good job getting back in this lane on the bank, so now he can start setting up some plays. But this is ROCCAT saying, let's take a kill in the top lane because we won't be able to contest the dragon anyway.
Well, we'll see how they make it work. A lot of members of SK hanging around, waiting in the wings. We'll see if they can take flight. That was a little uninspiring. Fox forced a flash after moving himself in, and truly I think that was a bit opportunistic. That was a flash distortion LeBlanc that could have got away. Regardless, Fox no summon a spell for the next engage, and ROCCAT now going to put some auto attacks down on this middle lane. You do see Svenskeren helping to wave clear thanks to that smite, but a good amount of damage by ROCCAT to reply.
You can always get a few hits on the tower. There's no instant wave clear from SK Gaming, and as you just mentioned, Jarvan can provide quite some. Has his sword and obviously the smite area damage from his Trailblazer, which actually has been the go-to item for Jarvans today. No chilling smite any longer, but it's also because SK Gaming were going for the lane swap. So Svenskeren knew he wasn't going to be too active in terms of ganking early on, so he goes for the farm-heavy item and just sits at power farms in the jungle, only goes to counter gank if needed, and let the rest of his team do all the work in the lane swap.
And of course, changes to that Chilling Smite. Movement steal instead of the very, very powerful slow. You do have to say that Svenskjæren's jungle decisions and counter ganking have been significantly better than Jankos this game, despite the fact that we were very heavily praising Jankos coming in, at least from an LCS perspective. But truthfully, Svenskjæren deserves similar levels of praise because he was just as good at many times last year. But look at Woolite, forced away from the Infinity Edge damage that Forgiven's putting down.
And I quite like that Forgiven is actually getting lifesteal as his second item here. He probably won't complete it before. Oh, let's see, Freddy.
Oh, Freddy gets caught up. Gets held in place. Nas, Overpower against the wall. Overpower doesn't manage to get the Claw of Doom out, but a crunch from Freddy gets him to put some space, and that's again 2v1 that Freddy manages to come out ahead. Oh, it's not over yet. Nukeduck trying to get some damage down, forced to back away.
So again, what Forgiven is doing here by getting a lifesteal item after the Infinity Edge is because he's going to be sitting in the mid lane, pushing it in, and trying to poke down this tower. So you want to have some lifesteal because you will take a few hits back in your face when you're trying to do some damage. You will constantly lifesteal it back, stay in the mid lane, keep the pressure up. So I actually quite like it. Should be going into an attack speed item though before he completes a BT.
Well, we'll see if he decides to stick with that plan. Fox was pushing down the bottom tower. The rest of SK pushing up the middle tower. Freddy's return top. That's a lot of damage from Nukeduck onto Forgiven. It should be enough to defend the tower, but ROCCAT really just playing with scraps at the moment. They're 2,000 gold down. Woolite still only sitting on 2 parts of the Infinity Edge and no BF sword. It's going to be a while before he has that sort of similar level of gold, and there's the hint towards an attack speed item. It's an Avarice Blade first for Forgiven. So again,
pretty big hit.
Not seeing the Phantom Dancer yet.
Oh, will be Static Shift again. A lot of these AD carries, they want to go for this a little bit cheaper attack speed item, give you a bit more power in the mid game through like the upfront burst you get from a Static Shift, compared to Phantom Dancer, which give you more overall single target damage. But they're all building for this mid game instead. That's why the teams are being so aggressive as well and making or trying to make some plays. ROCCAT with a very nice push on the mid lane just before though. And now SK is back, doing exactly the same again. Well,
let's see if SK can secure this tower. They've got the numbers advantage as ROCCAT are still a little split up in the jungle. Tower's got the shield there from Janna. We can see Overpower waiting in the wings. He wants to come in.
Not enough weight.
Not going to be able to, and ROCCAT lose the tower.
Again, you can't. When there are 5 members standing here, Lissandra, a bit like LeBlanc, has fairly short range on her wave play, so you have to play very safe. Woolite as well staying back. He's down to 50% HP, meaning a tower for SK Gaming. And they've been working on it for like 2 or 3 minutes by constantly moving and get a few hits, back away, and now they saw the opening, picked up the tower. All outer turrets are gone now from ROCCAT.
Luckily for ROCCAT, they did get a lot of damage onto SK's mid outer turret, so just a gentle breath of air should knock that one over. The minute and a half before the next dragon, ROCCAT need to get themselves either some vision, or as you know, we heard Unlimited saying, because it doesn't give gold, you don't need to contest the dragons as long as you don't give up 5. That's the trick. But if you can take towers, if you can keep relevant in gold, that's really what matters. ROCCAT, they're dancing a very, very fine line with that theory.
Yeah, and seeing as SK can just keep Freddy one-on-one-ing Overpower, and they can even have the castle against the LeBlanc as well, they don't really have to give up a tower for Dragon because they should be able to control the side lanes at the same time with teleport. Nukeduck jumping in, picking up the tower himself.
Style points, manages to get that auto
Still
attack.
though, Dragon 55 seconds here. Yes, you can give up a few dragons early on because they don't give that gold, but it's a ticking time bomb. Once you get towards like the 4th dragon, the 5th dragon of course is the deciding one. At some point you have to just go for a fight, and if you're too far behind and the enemy team has all these buff from the dragons, you will end up losing it anyway.
Well, we'll see what ROCCAT decide to do. 30 seconds before the next one spawns. Overpower's got himself a Morella Nomicon. He's got that arm guard. And we see Nukeduck working his way to a similar sort of position. Actually grabbed himself a Soul Stealer. He needs the power. Maybe that's a signal they want to fight at this next buff. That is a risky buy for Nukeduck. He wants it to pay off. He wants the power now.
Yeah, it is still gold efficient when you buy it after the changes because you start on 5 stacks. But once you die, you lose half of them. So it's a bit of a risky buy, but it really shows how ROCCAT know at the moment. They're going to have to try and take some fights. And Infinity Edge is completed on Woolite, so they're going to be fairly strong for this dragon here. No Hourglass, though, from Overpower.
Well, Infinity Edge plus Shiv for Woolite, as you highlighted, Forgiven.
I mean, if they win this fight, they're back in the game. They might even be in the lead just because Nukeduck has that Soul Stealer. But if they lose it, it's looking very bad.
That's a very, very big if. Nukeduck gets some good damage onto Fox, roots him in place. But you see Jankos going to the aid of Nukeduck's LeBlanc. Overpow and Freddy doing a dance in the middle lane. 4 members of SK. They're going to start off the Dragon. Fox is alone in the pit before the rest of the team decides to move in there. Let's see how this plays out. ROCCAT trying to set in. Nukeduck is going to try to dissuade Enrater, but they're too late. They're too slow. Dragon number 3 secured by SK, and truthfully, that was all just awkward. ROCCAT flirted with going in, but decided against it.
I couldn't really find an opening. There was a lot of wards around spotting them as well, so SK could see Overpower if he wanted to try and flank around. Same for Nukeduck to jump in, so didn't really find an opening. SK just actually grouped up in the Dragon pit, said, okay, come at us. We're going to take the fight if you want to. And very important also, Svenskeren going towards the LOCCAT here against a double AP, even static shift from Tristana, and some of the magic damage he does deal. Really means the LOCCAT is going to be so powerful. And
truthfully, if you're sitting on the side of ROCCAT, you don't want to be picking a fight in a narrow river corridor against a Cataclysm, a Wild Growth, and a Gnar, Mega Gnar. The amount of chain CC and hard stuns and lockups that can come down is just very, very high. So ROCCAT, they're close enough for gold. They're keeping this sort of 2,000 to 3,000 gold difference really as close as you can get. Freddy continues to defend his top lane tower. SK got 3. Let's see if Overpower can... This is the ice shot. We'll pretend we didn't see that one. But of course, ROCCAT really just... They're being bullied around the map, and we haven't seen them make a play. They've tried to gank Freddy, but it's not been the most successful or the best decisions, really.
Oh, Freddy, he's trying to bait it out, so he's going very aggressive, trying to force Jankos actually to go on him. Well, rest of SK are here.
Let's see what happens. Overpower's in trouble. He's going to go down that glacial tomb. Jankos kicks Svenskeren back, but it's too little. It's too late. ROCCAT, they want the fight now. Woolite's in trouble. He gets Cataclysm down. Monsoon is going to heal him just a brief moment. Jankos is low in the background, but we see Freddy is in trouble. The next victim will be Woolite. Why are ROCCAT fighting? Vander flashes, gets cold by Forgiven.
And
that's the first triple kill for Forgiven in the 2015 season. That's going to be a Baron as well.
Such a nice setup. Again, Freddy playing way too aggressive in the lane because he wanted Overpower and Jankos to jump him. As soon as it happened, well, the rest of SK joins in. Clean up the fight completely. Woolite is not strong enough, being caught in weird position as well. He's standing in the front as the Tristana here, and Forgiven on this Lucian, really using his mid-game power so well.
Somebody needs to ask ROCCAT why they engaged a completely grouped SK after losing Overpower, simply not in the right place. Here's the fight again. Visio, try make it make sense.
Well, again, so Freddy's been baiting it, Overpower's being caught out of position. Now he's obviously just dead, trying to get away in the very end. Won't happen. As soon as he dies, rest of ROCCAT just needs to disengage. But because they see the Kassadin on the bottom side of the map, they actually think they can take the fight. They're just still so much weaker. I mean, look at Forgiven in this fight here. Jumping in and out, killing everyone. Nobody can take down Freddy or Svenskeren.
Triple kill.
Absolute destruction. 25-minute Baron for SK Gaming. This looks to be another very one-sided matchup where the team in the lead is just going to steamroll down their opponents. The Baron buff and a sizable gold lead now. Let's see where SK set their sights. Inner turrets are available in all 3 lanes.
Let's do a 1-3-1 here for SK now. Put Kassadin in the bottom lane, Gnar in the top lane with his teleport. Forgiven stay with Enrated in this mid lane and just push it up. This Lulu pick, we were talking about, yeah, laning phase, Lulu's not very strong. She gets outlaned by most of the other supports. But because Enrated has been playing, or SK Gaming has been playing like the fast pushing game, first the top tower in the lane swap, then the bottom tower, and now the mid lane, it's just been paying off because he sits there, disengages, pushes in the wave every time he has the chance, and it opens up everything for SK.
And of course, knowing that Lulu's not great in the laning phase, SK just lane swapped. They played that tower game relatively slowly. It felt like it took a few minutes for them to decide to commit to it. But SK get
They're also free to do whatever they want to because Jankos and Overpower kept walking mid lane, trying to get a gank, and it just didn't work for them, so there's no pressure on the side lanes early on, and SK Gaming fully controlled the lane.
Oh, look at the damage. Forgiven is really just putting a beating down onto ROCCAT. SK grabbed the inner turret uncontested, the inhibitor and the inhibitor turret just uncontested after a little bit of poke. And SK definitely making use of that Baron effectively.
Yeah, just getting Baron buff so early. Again, the enemy team, they're not strong enough to deal with these powered up minions and the champions coming in with them. So ROCCAT just had to go up the tower. Not enough instant wave clear for him to fall this far behind and still try and come back. They need SK Gaming to just overdive them, pick up a few kills on Nuke Dog with his Soul Stealer, otherwise the game is over.
Yeah, the threat of the giant Gnar in the background, keeping ROCCAT at bay. Gonna wait for that to try timeout. SK Gaming secure another turret with a buff. They've got a minion wave to work with. We'll have to see how and when they decide to push out that bottom lane. But for the time being, a minute before the next dragon, that'll be number 4 if you're keeping score for SK Gaming. And it looks like that's where they potentially want to set their sights.
Yeah, once they get the dragon here, 6 minutes before the next one, the crucial one for your 5th one. Should actually be timed pretty well with Baron respawning. Take the Baron, you go down, take the dragon, you get both the buffs, and then you should be able to push for the finish here, because ROCCAT won't be able to fight for this dragon either.
Happens to everybody, happens to everybody, even the best of us. But you know, I want to quote what Enrated was saying in the pre-game video, how Fox, came up from SK Prime. He was the mid laner that sort of completed the team, that just fit in with everybody. He's 1-0-1 in this Kassadin. It was a first pick. While it's not been the deciding factor in the matchup, he's been in the right place at the right time. The team decision, the teamwork and the coordination across the map has been on point. And SK have roamed, they have rotated.
The shot calling has just been so much better.
Exactly, very, very good call.
It's not about individual players here, it's just shot calling, the team game, knowing your comp and how you want to play it from the lane swap, from the items to buy level 1, being it the trailblazer for Svenska on jump so you can get a bit more farm, or being it the Lulu pick to fast push down. It's just been such a well-played game by SK, and they'll leave nothing for ROCCAT to do.
Yeah, very, very strategically thought out game. SK are inches away from their first victory in the spring split. And so far, the grudge matches have gone the way that they did last year as well. Copenhagen Wolves beat H2K, albeit dramatically. SK Gaming are yet again ahead of ROCCAT. This time, convincingly, truthfully, as it was in the Gamescom playoffs as well. Can't deny that. But if you look at the minimap, SK don't have the deepest division. They don't need it when they got a 9k gold lead.
Just get the last outer turret here, and then you can either play it safe and wait for next dragon to spawn, or you can just keep pushing your advantage because you're so far ahead. I mean, look at Forgiven on this Lucian as well.
302, 340 CS, next to the 270. Culling used to once again put some damage down onto the ROCCAT members. Baron has since worn off. But look at the burst, 50% of Woolite blown up before he can even get in range.
And again, also good item choices by SK, getting early kills on Enrated against Alessandra here to cleanse ulti if she ever wants to try to get. There it is!
Oh, Enrated's the one that's been caught out. This is a desperation fight for ROCCAT. Overpower throws down the hourglass. He'll be the first victim despite engaging the fight. And Freddy is continuing to buy time. There's super minions on the Nexus turrets for ROCCAT to deal with. And SK Gaming seem to be in complete control. They did trade 1-for-1. Let's see how much work Woolite can do. The super minions continue to pressure. Look at the minimap. Turrets have dealt with him thus far, but SK, they look to be re-engaging on this inner turret.
He's staying around here. Forgiven is still very healthy, and it's all about Woolite trying to wave clear. Not enough minutes here. SK can just back off here, wait for this dragon or the Barons to spawn, get an objective, and then go for another push.
Well, decent enough engage from ROCCAT, 1-for-1. Luckily, Woolite, having that very long range of Tristana, continues to defend the tower, but unfortunately, SK unable to dominate even further in that bottom lane. Not too much damage in the turret either.
Yeah, but the mid-game items again also for SK, we talked about it a few times already. It's paying off for them because they keep playing so aggressive. They keep forcing the pushes or the fights. At the static shift instead of Phantom Dancer for Forgiven on Lucian. Sunfire Cape instead of Randuin's Omen from Freddy here. It's cheaper items, not as strong, but you get them before earlier. You can get a third or fourth item completed way before ROCCAT can follow, and thereby get the lead.
No, we've definitely got that being the case. Morelli Nomicon and Hourglass for Overpal. We have that Locket sitting on the side of Yankos. The Soul Stealer, 1.5 stacks as far as Nukeduck is concerned. Finally got himself that needlessly large rub, but truthfully, he's nowhere near the damage that he needs or wants. It does look like they've caught Vander. Vander's going to be the first victim, just way out of place, way out of dodge. He's losing that member. ROCCAT now most likely going to be unable to defend a potential Baron. What will SK do? Are they focusing Inhibitor? That seems to be the case.
Straightforward. Take Inhibitor, go back to Baron, pick it up, go down, take your Dragon, and go for the finish.
Sounds like a nursery rhyme. Is it that simple? Well, not really. It's taken half an hour of setup. Look at the burst. Inhibitor secured. Back away for Baron.
I want to see Overpower just go for home guards here and just try some crazy flank around engage whenever SK actually pushes up to the base. Trying like instant kill Forgiven or instant kill maybe, I don't know, the Kassadin, the Lulu, whatever. Just try and get an early kill from the flank around because you have to try and do something. You can't just sit back. SK will just destroy your base.
Well, ROCCAT's engaged previously in the bottom lane. Did seem to work out. It was 1-for-1. He did manage to defend the turret. SK was shredding through this Baron. It's down below half health, denying the vision. Keep in mind, everybody for ROCCAT is alive. Let's see how this plays out. Mega Gnar. Crunch comes down. Freddy is knocked away. This is the Dragon's Rage kick, but ROCCAT are in full retreat. SK have set their sights on a fight. We'll see if ROCCAT get away all right. Does seem to be the case. SK continue to be grouped up. 1:40 for Dragon. Baron is live. SK have the pick and choose of what they want.
If they go back to the Baron here, there's a massive wave on the Proto side, which has to be dealt with by ROCCAT. And for now, SK Gaming realizing it, going straight back here, playing out a few more wards, quite a few in the Baron pit itself. But they're just waiting it out as well, because they know they can keep starting Baron over and over and force ROCCAT to come and fight them.
Well, we'll see. They're doing it again. ROCCAT, again, a little bit splits up. Warlight to the front line, tanking up some damage. Baron has been stopped. SK once again peeled away. Warlight this time round is very, very low on HP. It looked like Freddy had kept the Baron reset, but it has now gone back to near full HP. The Baron dance continues, 34 minutes into this game. ROCCAT trying to find a way in.
For now, though, because the bottom lane have been pushed back, we actually see SK go back to base. Go back to full HP by a few more wards. We have 3 sweepers and 2 warding totems from them. So far, not upgraded actually, so don't have the pink ward from them just yet. And they're all full items, so not a lot of wards being bought here by SK Gaming. Funny enough, a thing they didn't do last year either. Who needs wards when you can just out-rotate the enemy team anyway?
Yeah, I remember talking about the Vision game from SK at Gamescom last year. And Rated pulled me aside and tried to defend his position, but truthfully, they don't ward enough. As a team, SK tend to have very good decisions. They tend to understand what's happening, but they seldom have the greatest vision control. Let's see, Nukeduck manages to get the Ethereal Chain locked down onto Fox, which allows him to escape, but a little bit more passive, a little bit more tentative play from SK.
Well, this is what we talked about, how you can play it a bit safe once you sit on 4 dragons, knowing you can just wait for the last one to spawn, pick it up, and force the enemy team to take the fight. ROCCAT is moving down. It could go horribly wrong for them.
We are about to find out how this goes. They've gone onto Enrated. That's a Glacial Tomb on the support, but Overpow's the first victim of the fight. We see Bandit going down next. Jankos, Warlight, Nukeduck doing the best they can to run away. Forgiven flashes over the wall. The building doesn't connect, but it's not needed because Fox cleans up house. Nukeduck's going to be the next one. We'll see if he gets nuked down. He does get slowed. Fox and Spence get sides. That's the clone, the flag, the drag. That's 4 for 0.
That's game.
Everything thrown at Enrated, and he gets away. SK Gaming onto the Nexus turrets. They'll be looking to close out the game in style.
Such a strong performance. I mean, from level 1, they knew exactly what was going to happen. There was no answer from ROCCAT. Jankos might even end up dying here. Nope, stays alive. Saves a few fantasy points.
Saves a few fantasy points. Indeed. SK Gaming onto the second to last turret. Second to last objective of the game. Freddy goes forward. Jankos will give up those fantasy points eventually. His Mega Gnar transformation happens. And SK actually back away just a little bit, playing this one a tad safer. Warlight was back up and didn't want to get those resets from Tristana. So SK going to be happy with the push thus far, but it is their game to lose. They're in absolute control.
They're just going to go back now and do the exact same shop. Actually, ROCCAT has an opening now where they can try and rush this dragon and avoid SK getting it. They just have to try and go for it.
And we'll see if they do. Banda's in place at the moment. There was some vision. Overpower and Warlight is there. This should
just start it. All right, they got it.
Let's be frank. It's very little. It's very late.
It is. It just means SK won't pick it up, and instead they instantly just go for this Baron. Forgiven actually stayed around to the red buff. Life still back up to full HP, and Baron instead picked up by SK. So ROCCAT avoided them getting the 5th dragon. Couldn't really avoid them getting the dragon.
Yeah, and they lose a Nexus turret as well. Super minions doing work in the base. ROCCAT are so far behind. Going to be evaluating the decisions, going to be evaluating all of the calls this game.
They have to look at the pick and ban phase.
SK's just run them in circles.
It was very clear they had a plan with the LeBlanc pick where they were going to camp the mid lane early, try and get Nukeduck ahead. But it simply meant that Overpower, instead of him just staying top lane and picking up all that farm that was being pushed into his tower, he actually well, he was slightly ahead of Freddy, but he could have been very far ahead before that farm he could have gotten. He went mid lane a few times, didn't pay off. Jankos went mid lane, didn't pay off. So the whole tactic of camping the Kassadin just failed from the start, and then SK Gaming got a massive lead already 20 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And Nukeduck, unfortunately, not able to carry his team. Defensive, strong play by Fox. And I think you have to go back to that first sort of counter gank by Svenskeren. That really, really could have tilted the game in one direction or another. And it ended up being in favor of SK. So props to Sven. Inhibitor gets dropped in the middle lane. SK Gaming moving up to the top lane to set their sights on the next objective. Remember, there are no Nexus turrets. Baron buff is up. Svenskeren, Cataclysm is available, decides against it. There goes the Gnar backwards. Cataclysm goes down in the middle of the team fight. Forgiven melts Vanda. Inhibitor goes down. ROCCAT are in retreat. That's a good slow from Fox. It's not going to matter. SK Gaming pick up the first win of 2015 by defeating ROCCAT convincingly in a well-controlled, well-coordinated match.
Yeah, never really any question here of who was in the lead in this game from the get-go. SK Gaming looking so strong, and a very good start for their new players as well. And kind of looking at your roster and saying, we know we have some good players, we know we can become a top team. Getting such a good start against ROCCAT, where a lot of people expect to be up there as well. Perfect.
Stern looks from Woolite. Definitely not a happy camper. We were expecting more from ROCCAT, to be fair. We were anticipating a higher level, but SK had a game plan, they executed it. The lane swap went well.
First pick Kassadin ended up paying off for SK, even though we have seen it
4-0-5.
before.
I mean, look, it wasn't the deciding factor.
No, of course not.
And I think in this setup, in this game, despite the fact that you could be critical of that support Lulu, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, the way they played it was perfect.
Yep.
I was talking about him in the pure laning phase against the Janna. You don't really have much to do, and that's again why they go for this fast push instead. All in all, SK Gaming from item builds to lane swap, it was perfect, it was pre-planned, it worked out for them. ROCCAT took a bit of a chance in their pick and ban phase. Couldn't get the kills early on for Nukeduck, even had to buy a Soul Steal to try and get back in the game, which I don't even think he got a single stack on.
No, 1 assist to his name. Nukeduck returning to the LCS. Not in the shiniest of fashions. Forgiven on the other hand, 5-0-7, got himself a